The subject enters the system at age 23. Entry classification: Associate. What the file does not record is this: the sound of the door closing behind you in that first room. The weight of it. The way no one looked up when you walked in. The file notes date of entry, sponsorship chain, initial assignment location. It does not note that your hands were shaking. It does not note that you had already decided this was temporary, that you would take what you needed and leave. The file does not record what you believed about yourself then. What follows is the official record. What follows after that is everything else. Level 1. Associate. The file calls it probationary integration. You called it waiting. Record updated. Subject assigned to collections. Street-level enforcement. Revenue generation through loan interest adherence. Standard rotation. 3 months minimum before reassignment consideration. What the record omits follows. You spend your days in the back of a car. Not driving. Someone else drives. You are there to be seen. To stand next to someone older while they knock on doors. Your job is to say nothing and look like you might do something. You are 23 years old and you have never hit anyone in your life, and everyone knows this and no one says it out loud. You collect envelopes. You hand them to the driver. You are given $200 every Friday in cash. You are told this is generous for your level. You are told most people wait longer. The file does not record how many hours you spend parked outside bodegas. How the older men speak to each other like you are not there. How you learn more from silence than from instruction. You are learning a language that has no written form. You are learning to read the angle of a shoulder, the length of a pause, the moment when a conversation ends even though no one has stopped talking. You think about leaving. You think about what you would go back to. The file does not record that you had student debt, that your father was sick, that the money was the only thing that made sense. You think about telling someone. You think about whether there is anyone you could still call. Not yet. What you lose at this level: the belief that you are different from the others who came before you. Level 2. Soldier. The file calls it operational personnel. You called it earning your name. Record updated. Subject promoted after 7 months. Assignment, enforcement, street taxation oversight, territorial maintenance. Supervisor. Redacted. Compensation increased. Subject begins carrying. What the record omits follows. You are given a gun on a Tuesday. No ceremony. Someone hands it to you in a plastic bag in the back room of a restaurant that serves food in the front and handles everything else in the back. You are told to keep it clean. You are told where not to take it. You are told that if you are stupid enough to use it without clearance, the family will not protect you. You nod. You have watched enough to know when nodding is the only answer. Your territory is 6 blocks. You know every business, every owner, every back door. You know who pays early and who needs reminding. You know which complaints to bring up the chain and which to handle yourself. Handling it yourself means standing in a doorway until someone makes a decision they are going to make anyway. You are not violent. You do not need to be. You are consistent. You are always on time. The file does not record that this is what makes you valuable. You stop seeing most of your friends from before. Not because you are told to. Because the distance grows naturally. Because when they ask what you do now, you say logistics, and they do not ask again, and you do not offer. You see your father once a week. You pay for his medication in cash. He does not ask where the money comes from. The file does not record this transaction. This section of the record is incomplete. What was withheld? The importance of watching those who last longer than 5 years. Learning how they move. Learning what they do not say. The rest of the record continues as follows. What you lose at this level: the ability to explain your life to anyone outside it. Level 3. Capo. The file calls it supervisory command. You called it the beginning of insomnia. Record updated. Subject elevated after 31 months of operational reliability. Oversight of 12 personnel. Revenue accountability increased. The subject now attends organizational meetings. Clearance level: moderate. What the record omits follows. You have people under you now. They are younger than you were when you started, and somehow that makes you feel older than you are. You are 26. You are responsible for making sure they do not get arrested, do not skim, do not talk, do not freelance. You are responsible for their mistakes. When one of them gets pulled over with product in the car, you are the one who makes the call. When one of them starts using, you are the one who decides whether to give him a chance or cut him loose. You cut him loose. The file does not record that you knew his sister. Your share of the take is larger now. You move out of your apartment. You rent a place with 2 bedrooms and hardwood floors and a parking spot. You buy furniture that is not second-hand. You take your father to a better doctor. The file notes improved financial standing. It does not note that you cannot sleep past 5 in the morning, that you wake up calculating, that you run the numbers in your head before your eyes are fully open. You are invited to sit in rooms where decisions are made. You do not speak unless asked. You listen. You learn that power is not loud, that the man who talks the least often decides the most. You learn to make your face still. You learn to agree without nodding. The file does not record how many hours you spend learning to disappear while remaining in the room. What you lose at this level, the belief that loyalty is ever equally distributed. Level 4. Underboss. The file calls it Executive Operational Authority. You called it the room where the air is thinner. Record updated. The subject assumes second-tier leadership. Territorial expansion oversight. Inter-family negotiation clearance granted. Legal representation assigned. The subject's name now appears in federal monitoring reports. Compensation redacted. What the record omits follows. You are 31 years old. You have been in this life for 8 years. You are in charge of 70 people, most of whom you have never met. Your job is no longer about the street. Your job is about making sure the street stays quiet. You handle disputes between capos. You authorize deals. You meet with people from other families in restaurants where the back rooms are swept for devices twice a day. You shake hands with men who smile while deciding whether you are useful or expendable. The file does not record the dinner where you are told that your predecessor was removed. It does not record that no one uses the word killed, that the phrase is moved aside, that you are sitting in a chair that was recently vacated and everyone at the table knows how and no one will ever say it directly. You eat your meal. You thank them for the opportunity. You are making real money now, the kind that requires an accountant who specializes in making it look like something else. You are told to buy a business. You buy a waste management company. You show up twice a month. You never touch the product, never touch the cash directly. Everything is layered. The file does not record how many steps exist between your signature and the actual work. Your father dies. You pay for the funeral in full. You sit in the front row. 15 men from the family attend. They do not speak to your relatives. Your relatives do not ask who they are. The file does not record that you cried once, alone, 2 days later, and then never again. What you lose at this level, the version of yourself that believed you could leave when you wanted to. Level 5. Consigliere. Record updated. What the record omits follows. Subject assumes advisory role. Non-operational. Strategic consultation. Legal interface. Conflict arbitration. The subject no longer directly manages personnel. The subject manages information. You are 35. You have stopped carrying a gun. You have started carrying a lawyer's business card in your wallet behind your ID. You are the person people call when they do not know what to do. You are the person who sits between the boss and everyone else. You translate. You simplify. You tell people what they want to hear in a way that makes them do what needs to be done. The file does not record the night you sit with a capo who wants to go independent, who thinks he has earned the right. You do not argue. You do not threaten. You ask him questions. You ask him if he has thought about his mother, if he has thought about his sister's kids, if he has thought about what happens to people who are remembered fondly but are no longer useful. You do not raise your voice. He does not go independent. The file does not record this conversation. You are in court more than you are on the street. Not as a defendant. As a presence. You sit behind men who are on trial. You make sure they see you. You make sure the jury sees you seeing them. You do not speak. You do not need to. Your presence is a message. The file does not record how many cases end in mistrials. How many witnesses develop memory problems. How many prosecutors retire early. You do not have friends anymore. You have associates. You have people you trust with specific things. You have a lawyer you see every week, and a doctor you see twice a year, and a woman you have dinner with who knows what you do and does not ask questions because she has her own reasons for privacy. The file does not record her name. You make sure of that. What you lose at this level: the ability to believe anyone when they say they understand you. Level 6. Acting Boss. The file calls it Interim Operational Command. You called it the year you aged a decade. Record updated. Subject assumes control during incapacitation of previous leadership. Federal indictment in progress. Subject manages organization during trial period. Duration: 14 months. Subject communications are now monitored at the highest priority level. What the record omits follows. You are 41. The boss is in prison awaiting trial. You are holding everything together. You are making sure no one panics. You are making sure no one flips. You are visiting him twice a month through glass. You are taking orders that sound like suggestions. You are giving orders that sound like advice. The file does not record how many nights you do not go home. How many conversations you have in cars that are ditched the next day. How many phones you go through in a week. You are managing a war that no one acknowledges is happening. Another family is pushing into your territory. You cannot push back directly. You cannot afford attention. You handle it quietly. You make their shipments disappear. You make their collections unpredictable. You make their people nervous. The file does not record the meeting where you sit across from their underboss and negotiate a boundary that both sides will pretend was always there. The feds are everywhere. You know your phones are tapped. You know your car is tracked. You know your lawyer's office is probably compromised. You speak in references. You never use names. You never confirm anything. The file does not record that you have become fluent in a language made entirely of implication. The boss is convicted. 30 years. You are alone now. What you lose at this level: the last piece of yourself that thought power would feel like winning. Level 7. Boss. Record updated. What the record omits follows. The subject assumes full control. Organizational restructuring initiated. Subject now primary target of federal task force. Estimated organizational revenue under subject's control. Redacted. Estimated personnel. Redacted. Subject's life expectancy in role, historical average, 4 years. You are 43. You are the boss. You are the name that gets said carefully. You are the man in the room who does not need to be introduced. You eat in restaurants where you do not pay. You are driven everywhere. You do not carry anything. Other people carry for you. The file does not record what this feels like. It does not record that you are more isolated than you have ever been. That every conversation is a negotiation. That every smile is a calculation. That you trust no one completely and everyone knows it, and that is why they stay loyal. Fear is more reliable than love. You learned that years ago. You practice it now. You make more money than you can spend. You own businesses you have never seen. You have accounts in banks you will never visit. The file does not record that none of it matters the way you thought it would. That you are tired in a way that sleep does not fix. That you think about the men who came before you. How many of them died in prison? How many of them died in the street? How many of them simply disappeared into witness protection and erased themselves to stay alive? You take the meetings. You settle the disputes. You authorize the movements. You are strategic. You are careful. You are always 3 steps ahead because the moment you are not, you are gone. The file does not record that you have already decided this is not forever. That you are moving money quietly. That you are preparing for an exit that no one can see coming. That you are teaching someone younger to take your place without him knowing that is what you are doing. What you lose at this level? Nothing. You have already lost everything that could be taken. What remains is only what you choose to carry. Level 8. The Defendant. Record closed. New file opened. Subject indicted. RICO charges. 18 counts. Trial duration. 7 months. Verdict. Guilty on 14 counts. Sentence. 22 years federal incarceration. Subject age at sentencing. 46. Projected release age. 68. What the record omits follows. You are in a courtroom. You are wearing a suit you bought specifically for this. You do not react when the verdict is read. You do not look at the jury. You look at your lawyer. He looks at his notes. You are taken into custody immediately. You are processed. You are photographed. You are given a number. The file does not record what you think about in the van on the way to the facility. It does not record what you think about your father. About the apartment you started in. About the first time you were handed an envelope of cash and told you did well. About the moment you knew you were never leaving. The file does not record that you were right. You are assigned a cell. You are given a schedule. You are told the rules. You follow them. You have been following rules your entire life. These are just different. The file does not record that 3 men in your block know who you are. That they give you space. That respect travels even here. That you are not afraid. That fear stopped being useful years ago. What you lose at this level, the illusion that you were ever in control. Post-record. The legacy file. Subject released after 16 years. Sentence reduced for health considerations. Subject age at release, 62. Subject relocated under monitored parole. Known associations, minimal. Subject works part-time at a waste management facility. Same facility previously owned by the subject prior to incarceration. The subject lives alone. What the record omits follows. You are outside now. You have been outside for 2 years. You live in a small apartment. You take the bus to work. You do not own a car. You do not carry a phone that does anything other than make calls. You are invisible in the way you once made other people invisible. You see men sometimes. Younger men. They move a certain way. They look around rooms the way you used to. You do not approach them. You do not offer advice. You know they would not take it. You did not take it either. The file does not record that you are healthier than you have been in 20 years. That you sleep through the night. That you have no one to call and that this is a relief. That you are free in a way you never were when you had everything. A new file is opened. Subject name, redacted. Entry classification, associate. Age at entry, 22. Sponsorship chain, distant cousin of previous subject. Assigned to collections. Street-level enforcement. The file does not record the sound of the door closing behind him. The weight of it. The way no one looked up when he walked in. The file does not record that you know his name. That you were asked, once, what you thought of him. That you said he would do fine. That you did not say anything else. The record continues without you.